Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Weeds with Emily Schmidt. It's April 19th, 2021, and I'm here with the breathtaking magnolia tree. There are many species in the genus Magnolia that bloom only for a short time in the early spring. The genus Magnolia includes over 100 trees and shrubs with varying colors of flowers, which can be pink and white, plain white, or even yellow. Although there is no known toxicity to magnolia, that doesn't mean you want to be the first person to discover one. Therefore, you should never eat any species outside of this list unless you find another credible source of information. Each species listed here has a slightly different flavor profile, with some varieties tending toward bitterness. Sometimes, different trees within the same species will differ slightly in flavor, having a spicy taste, reminiscent of clove, cardamom, or ginger. You can recognize magnolia by its characteristic blooms. These flowers are edible raw or cooked and have a spicy floral accent to them. One of my favorite uses is taking the tightly closed buds and microcleaning them as a spicy ingredient. Also, the mature petals can be pickled in a traditional method and used in various kinds of preparations. Now, let me take you into the kitchen where I'll show you how to turn these flowers into Magnolia Shortbread. Welcome to Emily's Country Kitchen. Here we have some magnolia blossoms. I'm going to make a shortbread out of them by mincing up the petals. The petals have a complex, spicy flavor, and they're just wonderful. Here we have some unopened flower buds, and you can even use the mature flowers, and even the reproductive parts of the flower and the inner portions still retain the spicy, complex flavor of the petals. So you can use the whole flower blossom, except the base, which gets a little bit bitter. So we're going to go ahead and chop off the base of some of these petals that we're going to use. This is an experimental recipe. It's the first time I'm going to try making this. So I'm estimating I'm going to use about a cup and a half of these petals in this shortbread recipe. We're going to take our softened butter and we're going to cream it with a third cup of sugar into the mixer. And then we got our sugar over here. Get a third cup. And then you want to mix this on medium speed until it's light and fluffy. So now that we have our butter and sugar creamed and light and fluffy in the stand mixer here, I'm going to go ahead and mince our flower petals that we're going to incorporate into our shortbread. Isn't that lovely? As you chop them, they turn into little rings. So you want to get these minced rather fine. So I'm estimating to add, this flavor is strong and spicy, but I want to taste it amongst all that sugar. Sugar can mask flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate into the stand mixer roughly 1 cup of minced magnolia petals. Let's go ahead and start our stand mixer on low or medium, slowly incorporating the petals. Looks good. And now we're going to add about a half a teaspoon of salt. counterbalance all that sweetness. And then we're going to add our flour, which makes up the majority of the shortbread, besides that stick of butter we're using here. And then we're going to very slowly incorporate that until a soft dough forms. If you have problems with the dough forming, it's okay to add a little tablespoon of water or take a spatula to scrape down the drier sides, flower petals. You want to maybe mix in a little bit of water slowly so the dough forms a nice consistency. So we've got our dough made, and with floured hands we're going to transfer the dough into a plastic wrap and then press it into a roughly 4-inch disc, and then we're going to wrap it up in plastic. And I love playing with dough, and look at all those beautiful flower petals we've incorporated into that with the magnolia. The color of it's lovely. And then we're going to pop this in the fridge for 30 minutes. So now that our dough has been chilling in the refrigerator for half an hour, we've taken it out and we're going to place it on some parchment paper to roll it out into a circle. You want to use parchment paper because the dough is pretty sticky. We're also going to preheat the oven to 300 degrees. Make sure that that gets up to temperature while we're working with our dough. Now I'm going to roll it out. It's very sticky. I'm going to add a little flour to the pin. So once the dough's rolled out, you're going to crimp the edges, make it really pretty all the way around. And then you're going to take a knife and score it, not cutting completely through the dough, but score it into equal triangles.
Now we're going to do what they call docking the shortbread, essentially just poking tiny holes in the dough before it is baked. You may have seen this in store-bought shortbread.
Once the oven is up to temperature, we're going to let this bake until the edges are golden and the center is firm and set. Alright, so our shortbread's ready to come out of the oven after 45 minutes. It's a little golden around the edges, just slightly cooked through, firm to the touch. What we want to do next is appreciate the aroma, and then we're going to go ahead and cut it along those scored lines immediately. And then we're going to let it cool completely before we add our garnishes. So, come on in and let's take a look at our shortbread here. We have it cut into triangles. We've got a variety of garnishes here. We've got the infused sugar that I use with the grated unopened flower buds. We have the interior with flower structures. We have some petals themselves. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of the sugar first. Give it a generous little sprinkle because it adds like some nice color and pops of flavor. It smells fantastic. It's a very aromatic flower. Unlike most flowers which lack flavor, Magnolia stands out in having a flavor that's much like a spice. Now we can add these really beautiful little pieces of the flowers. Flowers for dessert. Let's try one. It's optional to add even more layers of flavor from even more color. Let's see how this comes out. This is my first time recipe, my own creation. I hope it's as delicious as it looks. It is. It really is. Wow. Magnolia flowers and dessert really works.